Hello everybody, Sarah here from Sarah Homfray Embroidery. Welcome to my channel. We've got a few different things going on for you today in this video. So I've been to Harrogate, up to the town of Harrogate in North Yorkshire last weekend to the Knitting and Stitching show. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that and what was there and what inspired me and what I bought from there. And we're also going to do the draw for my little sew bag, which we are giving away to one lucky viewer. So we're going to do that today as well, and I'm going to show you what I bought from the show. So let's just crack straight on. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Knitting and Stitching show is a big event in the UK. They do it in lots of different venues actually throughout the UK. I go to the North Yorkshire one because it's nearer where I live, and it's a really nice sort of cozy one. I really enjoy that one, and it's just a show. It's a 4-day show for knitters and stitchers, Knitting and Stitching show, and for artists and for textile artists to show their work, and you can see the galleries and the guilds are there as well, and of course there's always lots of shopping going on. So I went last weekend and I thought I would just show you some of the things from the show that really inspired me and I was really interested in, and I will put links up in the description below the video for any artists that I mention in here, and for the Knitting and Stitching show, and for retailers as well. So if you're interested in any of those, do check them out and check the links out below. So when you enter the show, there's a big hall in the entranceway of the Harrogate one, and there's lots of artists there showing their work. They have a gallery space and you can go and talk to the artist and you can see their work, and there are images and links to their work on the Knitting and Stitching show if you want to go and see the other ones, because I'm just going to pick out a couple that I really liked. So I'm just going to start with Batul Shogi. Now Batul Shogi had a stand called Talking Heads. So Batul moved from her home country of Iran to the UK in 1985. So during the Iran-Iraq war, she came to this country, and her work is based on her memories of her country and the environment she grew up in Iran and during the war as well. And this is a sort of body of a lifetime of work for Batul, and she documents the struggles of women from her experiences and from being displaced from your home, and the struggles that they're actually still going through today. And we had a really interesting chat to her, and she told us about her experiences and the meaning of her pieces, and she's got some Farsi writing on there as well, and she told us the meaning of the writing, which was quite moving actually. It gave it a whole different meaning to the pieces when you understood what the writing was about. And she creates these beautiful female figures using very personal documents from her life, including birth certificates and passports and old photographs. And I love the way she displayed them in these concertina sketchbooks. She does a lot of art books in her work, and you can see the whole piece at once, and you can see what's going on the back as well, which is quite interesting because that gives you a whole different viewpoint of them, if you like, and a completely different way to look at them. So they were very moving and really beautiful little portraits of women from her country and from her experiences. So another artist from this section of the show that I really like is Mandy Patullo, and I followed Mandy's work for a while on Instagram now, and I really love her style and the techniques that she's using. She kind of makes textile collages using old worn fabrics and pieces that she's got from charity shops, and she often deconstructs them. She takes them apart and then patches them back together in different forms and makes new pieces. But it's really about celebrating these pieces of fabric and the things that she finds in the area that she lives in. And she also had these wonderful little dolls that she made out of some old clothes pegs. And I used to play with peg dolls when I was little. I love peg dolls. I've got quite a large collection of them now. So when I saw these, I just thought, oh, they were lovely, really beautiful peg doll collection. So it was really nice to see her work in person after following her online. So also on display at the show was a stand from Hand and Lock. So Hand and Lock are a company in London, embroidery company in London. They describe themselves as a heritage embroidery atelier, which is a wonderful description, I think. And they were established in 1767, and they actually still make embroidery. They still stitch pieces of embroidery, lots and lots of gold work. But what Hand and Lock do is they have the Hand and Lock prize every year, and you can enter this prize from anywhere in the world. So do go and check it out if you might be interested in this. There's lots of categories. There's a textile category, I think, and a fashion category as well, and then a student and professional category. And you can enter and you can make something, and the prize is a pretty good prize actually. There's 3 prizes, and they had a display of the work that had been entered into this year's competition, and the theme this year was Modern Mystic Arts and the Power of Colour. Now the themes are quite open. You can pretty well probably get anything you're interested into that theme. So there was lots of different interpretations of this theme, and I just wanted to pick out a couple here that I quite liked. So there was Emily Barnett in the Chawton House Project was the name of her piece. So this is 3 panels that Emily made inspired by the gardens of Chawton House, and she's got a really interesting mix of materials in this, which was quite interesting to me, things that you wouldn't necessarily think to put together. So some very traditional techniques of gold work, canvas work, silk shading, stump work, the sort of techniques I know. And then she put other things in there. So she painted some leather for the leaves, and she'd done some canvas work, shading, but also some kind of a wasn't a bargello quite stitch, but she'd made these flowers out of canvas and cut them out and made them 3-dimensional. And she'd also stitched on paper as well. There were paper flowers in there too, and stitched on the paper and then just cut them out and made these flowers up out of them. So it was really interesting mix of techniques in there, and they were huge as well. 3 enormous panels, so I really liked those. I thought they were great. So this next one is by an artist called Pomzikita, and this is called Not a Puppet. This is a rabbit escaping into the night sky from the looking glass. So you can see the looking glass, you can see it's broken. It's got a beautiful goldwork frame around it, and the mirror is broken, and the rabbit's escaping out of the glass up into the night sky. And another wonderful mix of different techniques on this piece, and lots going on. And I've actually put on here 260 hours of embroidery to work this piece, which is not surprising when you look at the detail in it, because there's just loads and loads of beadwork and loads of gold work, and it was quite large again as well, and lots of materials and lots of hand stitching, and a little hand there with a needle in it doing the stitching as well. So a really fantastic piece just to tell a different story with all those techniques and all those materials. So then we've got this beautiful Zen garden dress. This is from Yasmin Vial Frayne. I hope I've said that right. And this is, as I said, a Zen garden dress. And I love the simplicity of this one. And you can clearly see it's a Zen garden. It's got 2 different distinctive parts to it. So the path with the gravel, and then you make the rake, the gravel, and you make the shapes in it. And then the garden part of it with the bamboo leaves at the top. And really love that combination of the 2 and how she has fit those together. It's a beautiful shape, and I love that simplicity of it. There was a lot going on in some of the other pieces, so it was quite nice just to get to this piece, and it was a bit restful and very simple, simple looking. I'm sure it wasn't to make, and beautiful. And it's even got little lights in the flowers. The flowers light up in the top there, so a really beautiful little detail in there. So the show has other items on display as well. There are loads of quilts on display, and I really like this one from Jenny Pudney. So this is Jenny's Indigo Yogi, which was her final project for her Master Quilter course. It's got loads of techniques in there, and a lot of them that I'm quite interested in at the moment, so it's really nice to see these come together, including shibori dyeing, machine quilting, sashiko stitching, some tied quilting, which is the little red pieces in there. So lots of my favourite techniques all in one piece, and just really interesting to see how they come together to make a piece, and that they're quite unified and they work quite cohesively in one piece, and just made this beautiful garment, which was really fabulous. So in the same section we've also got some older pieces of quilting and embroidery from various collections actually, and this one really caught my eye. So this is a patchwork coverlet made in 1840 to 1870, and belongs to the Quilters Guild collection, and the technique is intarsia, or inlaid patchwork technique. I have seen it once before, but it's a really unusual technique, so it was good to have another look at this and how they do it, because it's really strange. So you actually cut the base fabric out to fit the piece that you want to put, so you don't just sew it on top. If you're stitching a horse, you cut the horse shape out of the base fabric and you fit the horse into it. You inlay the 2 pieces together, which is quite an amazing technique really. And it was known that this was done mainly by men worked this, and you can see it in the materials that they used. So woolen fabrics that they used to make uniforms out of, and it was a really good fabric because it didn't fray and it was easy to do this cutting, and it was a kind of a way for them to show off their skills and show what they could do with these materials and this technique. And there were actually over 30 pieces of this on display. So the Great Exhibition in London in 1851 was a place to show off lots of skills and lots of things that we could make. And they had over 30 pieces of this. So it was quite a big thing at the time, but it's not something that I think a lot of people know about now. So it was interesting to see that, and I did a little bit of research on it, thinking, what is this? I don't really know much about this technique. And it actually goes back a long way, back into the 1500s, and there's lots of examples of it from around the world as well. So Egypt and Iran, there are samples from. So really interesting technique that you don't get to see very often. So there are also some contemporary works on display, and this one really caught my eye. So this is called Flashlight by Estefania Tarrud-Carl from Chile. This really wonderful image of a man reading from a flashlight. That's a torch if you're in the UK. And it's all worked in these tiny seed stitches on a black gabardine fabric. So that's like a woolen twill in just these seeding stitches. And the effect is absolutely stunning, I think. And I love the space that it's in as well. They haven't just framed it around the embroidery. They've left all the space below. So if the light was stronger, if you turn the lights on, you'd be able to see the rest of the figure as well. So I think that's a really interesting way of displaying it. And that space is as important as the stitches in some places. So clever, really, really incredible piece. And we've just been looking at the fundamentals of silk shading as well. If you haven't seen that video, I can put a link to that up here. It's a mammoth one. There's a lot of information in there, but I hope you find that helpful if you want to look at this technique. But I saw this piece, I thought, well, this is an interesting interpretation of silk shading. So this is by Lucy Newman. Lucy's from the UK, and I'm going to read the description. Depicts a fictional floral form mutated by nuclear radiation into a semi-abstract form. So kind of quite sort of mutated flowers, abstract flowers. And you can see the flower shapes in there. You can definitely see them. And it was large as well. It was a metre, half a metre by half a metre. And the colours are just incredible in this. And the whole thing is using this long and short technique, and look at all the angle changes going on it as well. And as someone who does a lot of stitching and who tries to teach other people how to do it as well, I like to look at how something is made and think, how did they do that? And I'm not too sure I would know where to start with this one. So really interesting interpretation of silk shading, long and short embroidery. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Helen Sill. Hi Helen, because I saw this piece on display. So this was the Embroiderers Guild collection, who were doing a retrospective of all the pieces for, I think, from the last 30 years, and Helen's piece was in there. And I saw it first because I recognised block printing in it. So I recognised this Adrak printing, which is like this that I have on my scarf. And I saw this and I thought, oh, somebody's used this Adrak printing. And then I looked a bit closer and it was Helen's piece that she had made, and it's got this fabric in it as well, and it's got some sashiko stitching on some slow stitch spirals, all those things I love. And I thought, oh yeah, of course, that's Helen's piece. And Helen and I met on the tour I did to India, to Gujarat, and saw all these amazing textiles and went to the workshop where they made this fabric. So it was really lovely to see Helen's piece. So well done, Helen. It looked really fab. So those are just a few of the things I saw at the show. It's a shame I can't show you more. We would be here quite a long time, but do check out the links to those artists and to the knitting and stitching show as well, because there's a lot more work on there to have a look at. It's really interesting to see what people are making and how they're making their livings and how they're interpreting traditional techniques to make something modern. So before I show you what I was inspired to buy, I think it's time to do the giveaway. So let's see who the lucky winner is of our sew bag. So very well done to Jacqueline. This bag is going to be wending its way to you. I will leave a reply to the comment that you left below this video to tell you how we can get this sent to you and to get that organised for you. So well done. And Jacqueline left a comment that she would use the bag for her EPP supplies while she's waiting for the doctor. I think EPP is English paper piecing. I think Jacqueline's doing some patchwork, I think. So she would use that for that, which is a really nice thing to use it for. And thank you all for your comments and for joining in and replying to the video and for getting involved in the video. It was really interesting to read what you would do with them and how inspired you are to make some bags. So thank you very much for joining in. Do keep watching for more giveaways. There will be more coming, and just to make sure you don't miss them, if you make sure you click the little bell when you do click the subscribe button, you will get a notification of when there's a video up and you won't miss them. So do keep a lookout for those in the future. So after spending time looking at the artist at the show, we went and had a spot of lunch. Harrogate is beautiful because it's got this fabulous theatre between the convention centre and the actual theatre in Harrogate, and they open that up and you can go and eat your sandwiches in there, and it's absolutely beautiful place to stop and have your lunch. So then it was time for a bit of shopping, so it would have been rude not to. So I'm going to show you what I bought because it is quite interesting to lay this out and see what am I interested in this year. I've got a couple of things that are similar to what I bought last year, so we're still on a sort of a similar theme. We're going in a similar direction, but I seem to have bought a lot of fabrics, so I will go through what I've bought and show you what I was inspired by. So this is a company called Japan Crafts, and they do lots of fabric and lots of threads. So I'm quite interested in slow stitching at the moment, and in mending and in sashiko and that sort of thing. And I wanted some more sashiko thread. I really like using it. It's an extra strong thread. You can give it a really good tug and it doesn't break, which is fabulous. So I thought I'd get a couple of other colours. I've just got an off-white one and a really interesting yellow mustard one because I thought it goes really nicely with the blue. And then I got this make as well, Daruma Sashiko, and I thought I would just try a different brand of thread as well and see what I like. They're both 100% cotton, so it'd be interesting to try those out. So I've just got a few colours of those. I also got this kit. Now I don't often buy kits because I don't do them. Just don't get round to them, which is a shame. But this one is interesting because this is Hito Mizashi. So this is like a counted technique. It's a bit like black work technique if you've ever done black work. And it's got, I'll show you that side, these different patterns in it here. But you don't do it on a counted fabric like you do with black work. You just do it on a cotton. Has got the fabric is marked out with little dots to help you, but I thought once you've tried a few patterns you could go and do it onto the slow stitching and onto the sashiko. So I thought it would be interesting to learn that. It's got a nice selection of some different sashiko threads in there as well, so something else to try. And I thought it'd be interesting to learn these patterns and then maybe bring some of these into a bit of slow stitching. So if that happens, look out for a video on some more slow stitching stitches. So I got that as well. And then also from them is this. Now this, I've got to just read this, Tatami Heri braid. So this is an edging brocade that goes around tatami mats, so traditional Japanese mats that will go on the floor in the home. And they were selling this braid, and as you would imagine, it's got plastic in it basically because it's strong to go around the edge of the mat. I thought, well, it's interesting, but what do you do with it? And then they had a little sample of a bag they had made from it on their stand, a little purse, and it was really cute. And there's a free design for that, a free instruction sheet on how to do that on their website, so that will be in the description below as well. And they just basically folded it over and made this little purse, and I thought that's really cute. I'll try that because that goes with quite a few of the fabrics. So I've got a little bit of that as well. And then the other thing from the same shop, did quite well from this shop, just some fabrics that they had that they get from Japan. And this one is interesting. I'll bring this one back in later as well, but this is a print of a fabric. We'll talk about that technique. So a little fat quarter of that, and then just this one in their bargain basket. Just interested in these colours at the moment, and something a bit plain that will show the stitching up, but that's not completely plain. It's got a sort of pattern in it. I thought they went quite nicely together. So they came from that shop. And the show was super busy. There were loads of people here this year. It was a little bit elbow to elbow and hard to get through, but it was really nice to see people back again. So the last 2 years it's been a bit quiet, and a lot of the exhibitors there are not there anymore. A lot of people have retired or they've sold their businesses, and it was a bit, last year was a bit, no, there's a lot of gaps. Where is everybody? But this year it was quite nice. There seemed to be other people there and new companies coming through, so it was great to see that. And I got a couple of pieces of fabric, I'll show that one in a second, from the Cloth Atelier. I think they might have been there the last year, and they've got lots of different fabrics from Japan and from India, some block prints from India. And I saw this fabric, so this is an ikat weaving, and what they do is they actually dye the thread in a particular pattern before they weave with it, and then they weave the thread, the weft thread in this case, that way, and they weave that in and they make this pattern out of the weaving. So they sort of need to know the pattern before they do it, and they do this technique in India as well. We saw this on our textile tour in India. I'm just going to bring this one back in because this is a printed version, so this is an actual woven one. So this white thread has been woven through to make this pattern on here with the blue thread, and this one is a printed sort of version of it, but it's got this quite distinctive sort of, well, like a shimmer to it almost. So I thought they were quite interesting to see a printed one and an actual one, so I thought I'll have a little bit of that for my slow stitching, because that's really beautiful fabric. And they also did this denim, so this is a hand-made, hand-dyed in indigo natural cotton denim. So this is sort of like original denim, if you like, handmade denim fabric. And I thought, oh, that's just beautiful. I just love a nice piece of indigo. And denim's a really interesting fabric to work on. It's obviously a lot stronger. It's known for its strength and its durability. So I got a piece of that as well, and the indigo does come off. So I'm just keeping that a little bit separate from the other things, and I might put that through the wash. And so I got a couple of those beautiful fabrics, and then I bought this one as well. So this is block printing. We did see lots of this kind of thing when we were in India, and it's just beautiful. And you can see the different layers of it. So it's got the different colour behind, and then the pattern printed, and then the colour is printed again. The work involved in these block prints is incredible to see, and it's just so many layers to it, and I really love that. And I just bought a piece. She said, what are you going to do with it? And I was like, just look at it, stroke it. Really fine cotton as well, really beautiful cotton, but I thought actually I might make something out of it, so I got quite a bit of that, and I thought I'll find a backing for it, so I bought this to go with it. So this is a completely different kind of fabric to go with my Indian block printed fabric, and this is from Higgs and Higgs. There's really lovely different fabrics, and this is kind of like a twill. It's like a woolen twill, so it's quite thick and it's quite warm, and I thought I might make myself a little blanket. We're coming into winter in the studio. We've got a heater, but it does get a little bit chilly when you're sitting at the computer. I thought I might slow stitch myself a blanket to go on my lap to keep me warm, and I thought they were really nice colours together. Completely different patterns and completely different fabrics, but you join them and unite them by stitching them together. So this will go on the back and keep me nice and warm, and this will be on the front, which will be very beautiful to look at. So that's the plan with that. Whether it happens or not will remain to be seen, and I got quite a bit of that as well, so I wanted to make something out of that I can. And then I got even more fabric. I went a bit mad with the fabric. I've got a lot of fabric. I'm looking at it from here. 3 baskets full of it, but sometimes it's nice to refresh it a little bit, pass on those things that you're not going to use anymore, and put some new ones in. And I just saw these are Bombay stores, who are a fabulous stand, a huge stand, and they used to bring, when they first came to the show, saris, and just had saris on, and they were really lovely pieces of fabric, and then they sort of cottoned on people like patchwork, and they started bringing patchwork stuff, and they don't bring their saris anymore, but they do have lovely patchwork fabrics, and this one caught my eye especially, again with some slow stitching ideas in my head for this one. And if you've bought 5, you've got them a little bit cheaper, so it would have been rude not to. So I've just got some different patterns, and they're like batik, so we've got a bit of a sort of different themes. We've got printed and we've got woven, and we've got batik things going on, so lots of sort of patterns in there, and I thought they would be nice for some slow stitching, so they will probably appear at some point, and just bought that little one because I like the leaves. So lots of fabric going on. And then the last thing I bought was from a stand called Hannah Made. Really beautiful a stand she had. It was only small, but just beautifully curated, and I think that's quite a difference these days. People know how to present things, and they just look very inspiring, and lots of stuff going on, and I like this little stand, so I bought a few things from this. And this is some lino printing that she does. These are lino cuts, you can tell from this one here, and they've just been printed on vintage fabric. So this one is a little bit of old quilting here, an old quilt. And that's one, I just like the design of that one, and I quite like where she's placed it on the fabric as well, so we keep that on, do something with that. And then this has been printed on the edge of a sort of table cloth with a little bit of stitching in it as well, and the design printed here, so we can definitely see some potential in that. And then I thought, just to go with those, I would buy some hand-dyed thread as well. This is actually cottage garden threads from this Australian thread, so you may have seen that before, and dyed these beautiful fox gloves, and I thought that colour was perfect to go with those. I thought that might be a nice little project to stitch as well. So that leaves me with quite a lot of stitching to get on with. They may not all appear in videos on this channel. They may be on my other channel, Sarah Homfray Creates. Do check that one out. And I have mentioned some different kind of textile techniques and fabrics in this video, so do go and check out this video up here, which is about my textile tour to India. There's lots of different ones in there, and you can check out this one down here to see my other channel, Sarah Homfray Creates. I hope you've enjoyed this video, this little look at Harrogate. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.